Welcome to day 5 of my recovery awareness series. My name is Raquel Lopez, and I'm so excited that you are here on this discovery journey with me. Make sure you're subscribed to Raquel Lopez so you can check out the previous episodes and be notified for the next 25 because this is a 30-day series. And yesterday, we talked a little bit about setting boundaries in recovery and how that can provide a healthier journey as you embark on sobriety. And today, for day 5, we are going to talk about the importance of accountability in recovery. So, some of these episodes are going to dig a little bit deeper into subjects that we kind of tiptoe in, and some of the bigger concepts. And then we kind of break things down, and I'll be kind of getting into more of a little bit of an in depth look. So, today, we kind of took a piece of yesterday and kind of the day before, too, and we are going to talk a little bit more about accountability because the day 3, we talked about building a support system. And day 4, we talked about setting boundaries, which is a little bit part of that. And now we're going to be kind of getting into a little bit of a deeper dive into the accountability piece and what that looks like. So, accountability is a practice of being responsible for your actions and decisions, often with the help of others in support groups and who all will support your recovery goals. They help you maintain sobriety, offering support and preventing isolation, which I talked about yesterday is being a breeder for addiction. Isolation is one of those things in addiction that just makes it grow. And so we want to get away from isolation and we want to get into community, and being open and honest with a group and with specific people in your life can really help nurture the connection that you need to get out of that isolation. And so it's just going to help you encourage personal growth as you face certain challenges in recovery, along with being able to encourage and cheer you on the journey as well. So there are different forms of accountability that we're going to kind of talk about. And the first one is, whether it be a sponsor or a mentor, a trusted friend, they can provide that one on one support that we need in recovery. Having those people in our lives that are accountable to us and then we're accountable to them on that one on one level is really important. And as you find those people in your life in a bigger group, you can kind of look out for those who maybe you want what they have found in sobriety. You see their life, you see their life change, and you're like, wait a second, I wonder how they got there. And being able to hear their stories and hear how they have transformed their lives can help you make decisions and dig into some of those things that you also need for your own change so that you can get to the place where you're on the other side as well. And so going into those groups, those 12 step groups, there's AA and NA and Celebrate Recovery, which likes to integrate your faith as far as faith goes. And we talked a little bit about faith at the very first day. So you can see how some of these days are really going to build on each other. So make sure that you're going back and you're checking some of those out as well. But that faith side of accountability is also important, especially if you have that spiritual aspect where you're really wanting to be led in a specific way. And I know that the spiritual side and the faith side can get a little tricky, especially if it is new to you, or if you have had some sort of church hurt or faith. I was gonna say faith frustration, but if you have had struggles in the past with your faith, I know how hard it can be to get back into a place where you're willing to go in and have some of those spiritual practices of prayer and scripture reading and just finding something out of yourself and having that higher power. That can be really difficult and really tricky. So being able to not only have those sponsors and mentors to have that one-on-one support and the group where you can find them, but it's also having maybe some of those spiritual accountability people in your life that have that faith aspect and spiritual aspect that maybe you are seeking and desiring now that you are wanting to change your life. Um, then there's also self accountability. So, yes, we have all these accountabilities of one on one with other people and with a group setting. And it also needs, you need to be accountable to yourself, right? That looks like personal goals, that looks like maybe journaling some of your progress and having some of that daily reflective time so you can sit and see some of the things that have gone on, some of the things that are going on, and some things that you're looking towards in the future. And that's really important to have that accountability because that also grows confidence when we're able to continue to grow and move forward. It builds that confidence in ourselves. Um, and that's really important too as we continue on this journey. So, know that those are different forms of accountability as you embark on this journey. And you just got to have to figure out who maybe those right people are. And I talked a little bit about listening to somebody's story, but it really comes down to getting in an environment that we talked about yesterday, getting into an environment where you see people who have had a changed life. And so you're able to see them and what they're doing now and maybe where they've come from. And you can relate on some aspect. Maybe you relate to their personality. Maybe you relate to their backstory. Maybe you relate to what you want in your future. So it could be any one of those things or all of those things. But again, you have to set some boundaries in your life and make time for being around those support groups and being around those people or there's those spiritual groups. You need to take time to do that and show up on a continual basis so you can hear those stories and you can meet those people and getting out of that comfort zone of isolation and being around others, right? And sharing your own hurts, habits, and hangups. Sharing some of those things that you've been through, um, and accepting not that everything was okay and everything was great and everything's going to be great, but accepting where you came from and coming in with the humility of saying like, hey, I can't do this by myself. I need help. I got my own self into this mess and I need help getting out. And so those are places to think about and some of the things that you're going to have to kind of do internally as you get into these groups and find those accountability people in your life. Now, I personally believe that when you get into recovery, I've always liked to find people that I didn't know very well to begin with, just because they have like a completely separate perspective on who you are and they're out of your circle, they're out of your chaos. They have this outside bird's eye view almost of who you are and allowing them to speak into your life. So that is something that is really important too. So not only finding somebody and not only saying, hey, like I really need some help, but then allowing them to also speak into your life. And that can be hard. It can be hard to admit that we're wrong, right? It can be hard to accept that help. But let me tell you by experience, it goes a really long way if you're willing, like I said, to come in with some humility and say, hey, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. My ways got me here and I need help to get out. And just the fact that you're showing up, sharing, asking for help and putting yourself and your story out there. It doesn't have to be for the whole world to see. Like I said the other day, I am on this sharing this because I have come to accept a lot of parts about my own recovery and my past. And there's going to be things that I share, and there's things going to be that I keep private, but have shared with sponsors and accountability partners and those people, spiritual mentors in my life, those people who know all of me because I've allowed them to speak into my life and I trust them. So you have to find a place and a people to be able to trust as well. And that is hard and also so worth it. And it will do wonders in your recovery. But it's just being open to advice, being open to what they have to say. Because if they have more time than you, then something has worked for them. And so maybe trying to figure out what that is and let them, you know, give you homework. Let them speak into some of the areas of your life and listen. Take some time to listen. When you're talking about accountability partners and sponsors and things like that, you want to, once you meet with them, set some boundaries. And we talked about boundaries yesterday. But share with them and say, hey, like these are some of the days I want to meet. These are some of the things that I want to do, and be open to, like I said, receive some homework and some tough love, and have check-in times. And there's different aspects. So there's accountability people where they're kind of on the same time as you as far as sobriety. Maybe they are within 6 months of you where you're kind of in that similar place. Sponsors are usually about a year out from where you're at. So they have had like a year sobriety, and they have worked through either the 12 steps or almost there, where they're at a place where they have seen wins and they have seen sobriety happen for their life, and they have seen and heard a lot of just have a lot of tools and have heard a lot of things that will help and have helped them and will help you. And so there are different aspects. And of course, there's the spiritual mentors too that have things that you can have them speak into your life as well. But there's so much knowledge that you can gain if you're willing to, open your ears and come in with a willingness to learn and to um, start doing things differently, right? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. And my own self got me into a mess many times over. And so I was looking for a different way to live. I was looking for different tools. I was looking for a different life. And in order to have a different life, I had to do different things. So, just think about that as you continue on this journey. And I talked a little bit about, just receiving those things, allowing them to speak into your life, and then receiving that constructive feedback. And so giving and getting in those aspects as far as accountability. So you want to find others that you can do this journey with. And of course, those accountability people, it goes both ways, right? The ones that are further along, who are your sponsors, who are guiding you, allowing them to speak into your life. But then those accountability people who are kind of on the same time frame as you, having that back and forth check-in time, those times to encourage one another, and times to listen, and times to kind of just speak into each other's lives is really good as well. And know that this is not about perfection, but all about progress and mutual support of each other. So progress, not perfection, is a huge one, and you will hear it said in recovery a lot: progress, not perfection, and taking things one day at a time and one step at a time. Like you've seen, even just me share today, so much of it is foundational building blocks that you put along the way. And so, learning some of those foundational tools will help you as you continue on this journey. And so, all of this is really good to have in place, like that faith based foundation, right? Talking about building that support system, right? Understanding addiction just in a whole, like in a compassionate way, understanding addiction, and then doing the boundary setting and you know your people group that you are part of. Like all of that is together. You want all of it. You need all of it to come together as you really start unpacking some of those things in your own life. Day 6 is going to be about overcoming guilt and shame. And those can get really deep. That can get really hard to talk about. And you want to have people on your side, encouraging you, being there for you as you start unpacking some of these feelings, because triggers start happening, right? We talked a little about triggers the other day, and you want to have that accountability and that support system in your life when those triggers arise, when those um, you know bumping into people or going places that you have to go that maybe might be a little tricky for you early in sobriety. You want to have that support system that you can like pick up a phone and call. And I mean, I don't know if you like pick up dial, you don't really do that anymore, but it's like everything's voice activated and thumbprint and face recognition. But it's picking up that phone and calling somebody and getting into the habit of doing that. That is something that I learned really early on, was to call somebody every day. And it's just getting into the habit. So when you really, really, really need support, it makes it that much easier to pick up the phone, right? It can be hard if you've never talked to anybody or never called anybody when you're in trouble to pick up the phone to call somebody. But if you've been practicing it and been around people and have that support and been in those support groups, it's a lot easier to reach out when you need the help, right? So come back for day 6. We're going to be talking about guilt, overcoming guilt and shame, and start thinking about who in your life might be good accountability. Start thinking who might be a good spiritual mentor. Start thinking about maybe a sponsor in your life. Think about a group that you'd like to go to, whether it be, a 12-step group, a faith-based group, a recovery group in general. And feel free to reach out to me if you are coming up against not being able to find places to go. Message me and we can figure that out. There's so many recovery groups out there that until I got into recovery, I never saw them. And now I see them everywhere. It just kind of reminds me of like that red car thing, right? You buy a red car and then you see red cars everywhere. Or you buy like a certain brand car and then you see that car everywhere. When you get into recovery, you realize just how out there it is. And it's actually really cool. It's really encouraging, and it's really comforting to know that we're not alone. So know that you're not alone. Know that you can always reach out to me. There's a link on my channel that you can find my social media and message me. Feel free to drop in the chat or comment if you're watching this later. Just know that you are worth the fight, and recovery is possible, and there is hope out there. There's a plan and a purpose for your life, and I cannot wait to see how this impacts you and how it helps you grow and encourage you. So I'll see you next time, and I can't wait to be together again. Have a great day.